We didn't really talk about stance, right? The way I believe and I look at stance is going to be dictated by whatever I have to do and the array in front of me. In this episode, we'll be covering movement. All right, guys, we're gonna be starting off with our movement with Ben Stoeger's bar hop drill. The core that we're focusing on for this particular drill is exiting out of a position and entering into position, making sure that we're able to land balanced and stable, loaded, and ready to get out of that position. All right. Now, all the stuff that we worked on in the prior episodes, picking small spots, trigger break exits, transitions, everything is going to be assumed that we understand that, right? So we need to kind of have somewhat of a level of mastery of the prior episodes before I think you should start entering into this, because now the focus is doing all of that and now adding the next layer, which is going to be, which seems simple, just step over this stick, land nice and balanced and square to the targets while maintaining shooting aggressively. All right, so the drill is prescribed as, I'll start on the right side, but you can jump this back and forth either side or either rendition. So I can start on the left side, then I can go from here, start on the right side, whatever you want to do, go back and forth with both sides. But regardless, whichever side of the stick you're on, you are going to start shooting that target directly in front of you. So I'll start on the left side of the stick. I'll shoot my left target with 2 rounds. I'll then transition, trigger break exit, transition to the right target. I'll shoot that with 2 rounds. Once I finish the 2 rounds on the right target, I can then initiate my movement into the next shooting area. As I initiate my movement to the next shooting area, I'm going to be transitioning, picking my small spot on the initial target that I shot, the left target, shooting 2 rounds, and then transitioning back to the target in front of me and shooting an additional 2 rounds. All right? So the whole thing that we're just trying to do here is just get you used to exiting a position and entering into a position nice and stable and balanced, square to your targets, while maintaining good aggressive shooting and all the core principles that we've been working on in the prior episode. So I'll do it slow and then we'll pick it up a little bit and you guys can see what this looks like. All right, guys, so one thing that I want to mention is you'll notice in this series we didn't really talk about stance, right? Didn't want to waste too much time on that. Regardless, because mainly the way I believe and I look at stance is going to be dictated by whatever I have to do and the array in front of me. The core principles of stance is to maintain good connection to the ground and balanced. That can look several different ways. So as you saw through the training series, you saw me traditionally standing squared up to the target, sometimes a little bit more neutral depending on the array, but usually I have a little bit of my strong leg back, right? For this particular array, since I know I want to exit out of this position, you'll see that I'm going to stand a little bit more neutral and I'll open my body, right? This is going to help me fight or assist me in not fighting my body, right? Not developing tension, allow me to start rolling into this position while I'm shooting. So now I'm getting momentum going towards this next shooting area and then flowing right in seamlessly. Instead of being in my traditional stance, if I start leaning, now I'm off balance, right? So now the shooting's going to suffer, and then I'll just have to stay straight up and then enter in, right? So I'm either going to lose time or I'm going to shoot unstable. Neither are really a good option, right? So just by simply switching my foot a little bit more forward, still encompassing all the principles of stance, but just adapting them to what is in front of me, this will make my job a lot easier for when I transition to this target. I can start leaning and then cross step in and bring the gun right back. All right, so it'll look like this. All right, so first one, we'll just do it slow and we'll just really look at the components of what's happening here. So drawing the gun, firing 2, coming back over, firing 2, firing 2. All right, now that shooting should not stop, but talking and shooting is sometimes difficult. So I ended up stopping the shooting, right? we want to make sure we're keeping the gun moving the entire time. And I want, as soon as I'm done shooting, right, like bang, bang, guns moving, eyes moving, when I'm ready to move to the next position, the gun, as I'm moving into the next position, the gun is floating back over as I'm entering. So I'm multitasking that time of that entry, right? So I'm getting into this position and transitioning to the next target. If I just entered into this position and then had to transition, well, obviously I'm wasting time, right? So I'll shut my trap now and I'll just run it cleaner so you can see it. All right, notice how I landed, right? Nice and square, nice and balanced. The gun just kept working. You never heard the gun stop shooting. Everything was nice and consistent, right? So that's essentially what we're looking for. And obviously we can pick up that pace a little bit, right? Like that's a very comfortable pace at like that's a 250, right? So nothing crazy impressive there. We'll pick up that a little bit and we'll see what we can do. I'll do a little bit more aggressive draw and I'll split the gun a little bit harder, right? But that's the essential principles that we're looking to work here. Right, so now we're at a 220, a little bit faster. I'll do one more here, still accountable. All right, we are looking at a 2 flat on that one. Pretty good, still accountable there. All right, so the key is, obviously we're running the gun harder, right? It's forcing me to do more of the shooting things faster. But that's not necessarily the primary focus of this, right? I want to be able to do all the shooting stuff fast, but I want to make sure I'm doing that, but still able to land nice, balanced, square, loaded, and oriented towards the target, all right? So play with this drill, guys. You can do it the same way across, right? You can draw here, step over. It's all the same stuff, left or right, okay? Coming on over to our next drill. Another Ben Stoeger drill, right? You guys can see that I like Ben's stuff. World champion, national champion, wealth of knowledge. A lot of books out there for you guys. He's got great drills that I believe directly apply over to the law enforcement, military profession to get us doing our job correctly. So with this array here, you see that we have 4 targets and we have 2 barrel stacks. What you're going to do, and what this is, the purpose of this is, like bar hops, this is essentially 2 bar hops together, but we've added another layer. We've added a vision barrier, right? So on the bar hop, I didn't have the vision barrier that stops me from picking my small spot. So what this is going to do is, obviously we know where the targets are, right? I know there's a target right there behind this barrel. When I come out of this position, I'm driving my eyes through that barrel, getting ready to shoot as soon as it presents itself, all right? Now you're gonna shoot these targets a little bit out of order, all right? So you're gonna shoot them as they present themselves. So I'm gonna start on the left. I'm gonna shoot this target first, target 1. When I come out of this barrel position, when I set up here on target 1, I should not be able to see the stack through this barrel. So that's how you know if you're aligned right. When I take my first step, the 3rd target should present itself. All right, so I'm gonna shoot 1, then 3. As I'm moving across this array, I will be shooting 2. Then I have the obstruction of the barrel stack again. I'm driving my eyes through the barrel as I'm transitioning, stepping around the barrel, finding that 4th target and finishing that. The goal here is to do exactly what we did in the bar hops, just with more targets and visual barriers. And keep moving fluidly across this array. All right, it'll look like this. 2 rounds per target, obviously. When I set this up, we're 7 yards from the targets. I have a barrel stack that's going to block target 2 and 3. Yes, I'm going to be able to see target 4. So that's going to be a little bit of a distractor, which I think is a positive, because your eyes are going to want to latch to that target, but you have to ignore that target, wait for the target, which is target number 3, to present itself through the barrel stack, which is my next target, then 2, then 4. All right, we'll do it nice and slow, and I'll talk you through what I'm doing. All right, so this is the good spot. Another thing real quick, guys, I don't want to be so close to these barrels, right, when I draw this gun, that when I transition, I have to break the gun down, right? This is not going to be good. When I'm hunting through these barrels, I want to be out of my optic, the gun's slightly depressed, and then as I find it, it comes right up in to the target, right? So I'm out of my optic. It's going to give me more situational awareness. It's also going to limit me from getting distracted by my dot. If I keep that gun up in front of my eyes, right, and I'm trying to look through it, that big red dot's going to start taking my attention. We know that we don't want to stare at that dot. We want to maintain good target focus to the target, right? So to reduce that and give myself more situational awareness, I just lower that gun slightly. My eyes are ahead of the gun anyway, and then as soon as I find that spot, the gun comes right up into it, and then I finish the sequence. All right, so it'll look like this. All right, something like that. That was a little slow. I'm gonna pick that up a little bit. That's 410. That's not good, but nice and slow, just to give you guys an idea what's happening here. All right, so we'll pick that up a little bit. All right, you notice that I continued to keep moving throughout the whole array. I didn't stop. I lowered my base. Right, as I'm moving through, I'm lowering my base, keeping my hips oriented towards the targets that I want to shoot, and I'm just flowing through the array. So that's 350 now. We'll pick that up and see what we can do here for one last one. Right, this will be the training pace, right, guys, for me. I'm gonna push myself, see what I can do. Mistakes will present themselves probably. And then I will tie cause and effect to those problems, whether they be shooting or movement. Most likely, it'll be the movement of when I pick up the aggressive movement will then probably cause me to have some type of visual issue. Not picking small enough spots quick enough to the targets, getting stuck behind the gun, looking at the dot, things like that will present themselves because of the aggressive movement. But I just want to tie cause and effect to that. And then I still want to live at that speed, right? I still want to keep doing that speed, and then I want to teach myself to not make those mistakes, build further discipline to be able to execute at that speed. So we'll pick it up a little bit. All right, a little bit better. That's a 310 all in, so I'll do one more and push it a little bit more. Try to see if I can get sub 3. All right, so we are a 118 on that, a little bit slower, and I took 2 Charlies on that. Just sloppy picking small spots. So made some mistakes there. I'm gonna clean up those mistakes and push it a little bit harder. Got hung up in the holster a little bit there, so that affected my first round, and then I was kind of rushing to try to make up that time, which usually never works out. All right. That is 320, so didn't get that much faster, but we do have all alphas there in the hit zones. That's going to be what it's going to be today, boys. We'll have to pick that up in my own individual training. I really like to get that sub 2. What I'm really seeing is I'm not moving fast enough through this position, and the reason why I'm not staying really aggressive through this position is because I'm finding off on when I'm going to target 3, coming back to target 2, my eyes are just not getting there quickly, right? Like I need to instantly start shooting that when I come through this vision barrier, right, that I can't see. As soon as I see that, that needs to be fired, right? And then I need to quickly snap to this target a little bit faster than I've been doing. and then I need to explode more to come through here, right? So it is what it is. Fuck it, we'll give it one more run. All right, that is 315. We're looking with one line break. All right, so still accountable there. Everything looks pretty good. I got a little sloppy on the one here. Just broke the line, but everything else is clean, right? That's kind of my training pace. I need to pick that up a little bit more. When I start getting into like the sub 3 seconds, that's where my visual problems start to catch up to me, right? So when you guys are doing this, make sure when you're making mistakes, like don't just live there, right? So I got one pseudo Charlie on that, maybe a line break, right? But regardless, let's just say it's a Charlie. All right, that's where a mistake happened, right there at 310. So I'm gonna push that a little bit harder, right? It's only one little micro Charlie, if that. And then that's probably going to be the training pace, right? I want my training to be difficult for myself, but still at the speed that I'm processing and understanding, like, yep, didn't pick a small spot there. Yeah, I saw that look sloppy when it coming in. Yeah, I transitioned off the target 3 to target 2, and I just looked at all brown, right? If I just look at all brown, you're going to get bullets just, you know, dragging in, dragging off, like wherever, right? Like, so I need to go small spot when I shoot this real quick, slam my eyes over here slightly ahead of the gun, small spot, and then quickly get my eyes and everything moving over, right? Here's that. Yeah, it's a Charlie. All right, and this is just, if you think about it, this is just a little visual patience issue, right? As I'm coming around this corner, the first thing that presents itself is that Charlie Delta line right here, right? Like this is the first part of the target that becomes exposed as I'm breaking that corner, and I'm trying to shoot this right away. So I'm just being a little bit impatient with picking my spot, and I need to just wait just maybe 1/100th, 1,000th of just waiting a little bit more to bring that over. Nonetheless, that's not shooting issues or really even picking a small spot issue. It's just being patient enough to let the target present itself so I can pick the appropriate spot. All right, but these are the things we're looking at. These are the things you should be assessing. Like always, tying cause and effect. This is a great drill, right? Because the vision barriers, man, dude, they're challenging, right? Like they're going to block your vision, but you need to just kind of barrel your vision through them. The target will present themselves. I have really aggressive movement because I'm trying to just flow through this without stopping while maintaining shooting aggressively. Like there's a lot of good stuff here. So another great drill from Ben. Highly subscribe to his stuff. This is great for law enforcement. This is the kind of stuff we should be doing. And if you notice, these first 2 drills that we set up are relatively easy, right? It doesn't take you a lot of equipment to set this up. We need 4 targets, some barrels, right? If I don't have a barrel, I can just take another target stand, right? If this wasn't a barrel, just put a target stand, take another target stand, put that there, right? Turn that around on the white side, put some targets all the way down at whatever I want, and hey, that'll be my visual barrier. You could use whatever you want to use, garbage cans, whatever it is. There shouldn't be any excuses that you don't have enough equipment to start doing this type of practical training for the LEO mill perspective. All right, and if you do have the stuff, great. But it doesn't take a lot. It just takes a little bit of equipment and some creativity, and then obviously the information that we need to apply. All right, cool. So we come back. These are easy ones. Now we're just going to set up something a little bit more complicated, right? That's going to be working on the same stuff, but we'll be working on a couple different movements. So we'll be shooting into position, and we'll be shooting out of position, along with transitions, blendings, adding different conformation levels, right? So we'll have hard cover targets. We'll have A-zone steel out there, and we're gonna start merging all the stuff in this video series together, right? So like when this kind of stuff becomes pretty easy, it's like, all right, time to challenge it. I mean, even this, you could layer up, right? We could take this track the A zone, you could take bar hops, we could put no shoots and partials and all different types of things just on this drill to make something very simple even more complicated. All right, so when we come back, we'll check the next layer. All right, guys, so we set up, as you can see here, a little micro stage, and in these particular stages, I'm going to force you to do particular things. Doesn't necessarily have to make sense for competition, but I want you getting practice at specific things. So for this particular stage, the core focus, along with several other things, but the main thing that I really want you doing is shooting out of position, because the goal, right, for stages is to blend targets as well as blend our movement, to have the gun shooting the entire time if we can, because it's points divided by time. So anytime the gun is not shooting, collecting points, your hit factor is going down, right? So we want to minimize that as much as we can. So this is a little shooting area you have here. You're going to have to stay within the fault lines. I made this a little spicy. You can make these open targets. You can do whatever you want, right? I just spiced it up a little bit to show you guys how to play with confirmation levels and different things. But the main thing that I want out of this exercise is to retreat out of this position, blending that. So we'll draw on a lean, testing our index, right, on a high confirmation target, transition to an A zone steel, also a higher confirmation target. Once I come off the steel, that's when I want to initiate my movement, and I want to drive my eyes and my gun to the open target that's, 4 yards away. As I'm on the retreat, that's when I'll be firing at the A zone, right? I don't want to shoot the target here and then move into this position. This port is out of play for right now. All right, so I want to merge these positions to see if I can continue to shoot. So head box, A zone steel, retreat, A zone, stepping into this position, and then go whichever way your gun indexes, right? You should be trying to get your eyes through this visual barrier, picking a target. It's probably easier if I can get out of this position, drive my eyes to get on this open target right there to start my engagement. So I'm driving my vision through, picking a small spot through the visual barrier to get to the open target, because that's going to be easy, fast, aggressive shooting. I can get my dot and then I can blend it into the next partial target. You'll see that I put a partial off to the right of this, and that's because usually when people are trying to shoot really fast, they're going to start dragging out and dragging in. So I put that partial there, or no shoot there, to hold you accountable visually when you transition off this easy open target into the, 12-yard no shoot. All right, so it'll look like this. I'll just walk through a drive for you guys. On the buzzer, so you have this whole shooting area. I'm looking for a spot that allows me to lean outside of this barricade without coming outside the fault line, but sets me up for success to get over into the next position. If I'm too close to this, yeah, that makes me closer to the target, but then I have to kind of fight with this barricade. I'm not looking to really fight with anything if I don't have to. So right here looks good. Draw the gun on the buzzer. I'll fire 2 to the head box. I'll transition to the A zone. Off the A zone is when I'm going to initiate movement after I hit it. So on the trigger break of the A zone, that's when I'm going to start initiating movement back, stepping into the next position, open target, partial. All right. If it goes correctly, the gun should really never stop shooting, and I should be shooting this target out of position as it brings me into my next position. All right, like that's the goal, to use this target to get me there where I'm not losing any time. And this doesn't have to be shot crazy fast, right? Because I have all this time. All I have to make sure is that by the time I get to right about here, I'm transitioning my eyes and the gun into this next position so I can start shooting immediately. I don't want to end up here and then have to transition, right? That's too late. I took too much time trying to engage that. All right, so it'll look like this. All right, looks like we got 2 Charlies in the head and everything else all out. Look, 1 Alpha in the head and 1 Charlie. All right, time of 5:49, right? I could pick that up a little bit more aggressive. We'll do 1 more. Try to blend this movement, shoot that a little bit more aggressive, and transition into these a little bit more aggressive and still collect all the points. So for that run, I'm down 1 Charlie at a 5:49. All right, we shaved off a little bit. 5:25, still looking good. All right, I'll do 1 more and I'll really try to push this this movement out of this position. All right, guys, so now I'm gonna do 1 more into my training pace, right? Everything I just shot right there was just pretty comfortable. Now I wanna start working in that uncomfortable pace. So I'm gonna start shooting that, that head box more aggressive, right? See what presents itself, shoot with less information. Currently I'm shooting with stop dot. See if I can start to take that on a streak. Try to take the steel on the streak, take the open target the same, but make the movement a little bit more aggressive, and then try to shoot all this stuff right here, even with the no shoot. Just try to take that with color change. And if mistakes present themselves, we'll see what that is. We'll tie cause and effect, all right? Because continuing to run this the way I've been doing it is not benefiting me, right? I'm not getting any better just doing what I know I can do already. So now I need to throttle up, encourage some mistakes, and then when those mistakes happen, tie cause and effect. And as long as I can articulate what's happening on each particular mistake, that's a win. I can then work on trying to eradicate that mistake from my shooting. All right, so we're down to a 480. 2 Alphas, hit on steel. Looks like Alpha Charlie in the head box, 2 Alphas here. But I did start to make a little mistake here, and this was just getting my eyes a little bit too far away from the no shoot, and I was doing that because obviously I didn't want to hit it. I knew I was going to be shooting it with less information, right? So I just kind of put my vision a little bit far away from this so I could shoot it more aggressive. In competition, if I was going to take it, like I felt like that speed was worth it, I would do that. Yeah, I would hunt this Alpha Charlie line. If I take Alpha Charlie like I did, well, great, man. Like, it is what it is. I lost 2 points, but it saved me in the overall array, whatever. Maybe it saved me 2 tenths, 3 tenths, depending on the array. When you get into the hit factor math, that might have been worth it, might not have been worth it. Nonetheless, this is not competition. This is not real life. This is training, right? So I am trying to shoot those A zones, but I was being a little bit scared, and I just hunted too far away from the available hit zone. So I was hunting this line, and I took the Charlie. If I was going to continue to work on this, I would try to shoot that exact same speed, but I would force myself to plant my vision more into this A zone and still shoot it with that least amount of information. If I whack some no shoots, it's not a big deal. I'll tie cause and effect, and I'll figure it out. You have to make mistakes with this, guys, with this type of stuff. Playing with the movement, trying to be explosive to blend that gap so you can start shooting sooner. Really trying to push yourself to close that area. Really put up difficult targets to force yourself to shoot different confirmation levels. All this is going to benefit you for when the time comes when you have to employ this weapon, depending on what that threat level is or type of skill that you will need to win that fight. But we want to build it here, right? We're depositing in our bank account. To do that, we got to make those mistakes. We got to tie cause and effect, and we just got to go through the struggles and put in the work. All right, so now we're going to give you another look at something different. We will be shooting into position. So I can keep this same array, right? That's kind of what's great. We can just do a whole bunch of different things. So I'll just start on this side now. I'll draw the gun. I'll go partial open target. And then now I'm going to just drive my eyes shooting this open target really aggressively. But the key here is By the time that that steel is available, right, I need to have my eyes and gun there waiting to get a confirmation. So if I get all the way to here and then I transition, that's too late, right? I'm losing time there. So realistically, I would need to start finishing that here, all right? Then I can start driving and my eyes and pre-aiming as I settle into this position. That's gonna give me plenty of aiming time to not feel rushed, right? So I'm gonna shoot sooner, not faster. But I'm setting myself up for doing that by getting rid of this target kind of right in the middle here, right? So when I come out of this, bop, 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 I want to start shooting that right away. On that first step, I want to have my 2. My second step, I want to start driving my eyes as I settle into this position, looking to be nice and balanced, and also landing in a position where I can have that head box in the back available to me, where it's not too much of an extreme lean, right? So right about here is pretty good where I can come in and then roll into that head box, right? But what we're really practicing here is shooting aggressively into position, all right? It'll look like this. All right, not bad. I did find myself hanging out on that steel a little bit long. So I don't know if you guys could see it in the camera, but I felt it. I came in, I shot that steel, and I was like, I didn't trigger break exit off of it, right? The gun returned back to it. I'm like, yeah, I hit it. And then I drove my eyes and finished the head box. For training, I really need to just trust that I have what I need, get the hit, and exit on the trigger break exit. That's gonna save me probably a quarter of a second right there. And if I do that every target, right, that's gonna add up to seconds. That's huge. And it comes down to just seeing what I need to see and exiting off that target on the trigger break, knowing and trusting that I did what I needed to do. All right, so we'll do that again. Still all accountable on everything. And we'll try to dial that up. The correction that I'm gonna make is do all this shit the same, just exit correctly off that steel. There we go, that's much better. And that did save me over a quarter of a second, right? So that's a 485 now. I believe the last one was, yeah, so that was a 485 with all good hits. And the last one was a 535. Not good at math, but that's more than a quarter of a second, right? Closer to a half second. Just off, trusting that I was gonna hit the steel, giving it the respect that it deserves, but not giving it too much, and then getting it over, all right? So these are things you can play with that. You could switch the targets around, but in a training session, right, because time is valuable, ammo is valuable, you can do a lot with not even switching these targets, just moving your position, right? Another thing we could do to really work on now index along with all of this stuff is we could start from here, right? So now I'm gonna have to put my hands on the wall. I could go any which way. We could do both ways, right? Hands on the wall, draw, right? As I'm drawing the gun, I'm finding the spot that I need to go. So that's where I'm gonna be. So I'm gonna try to blend this draw into the movement. I don't wanna draw the gun, look at the spot, then come in and shoot, right? If I can get rid of this draw and hide that time in the movement, I'm gonna do that. So what I'm gonna be doing is looking at that spot that I wanna be. I'll already have that spot picked because I'll have my stage plan done. It's like, yep, this is the spot that I wanna be. Sometimes I'll make a little mark, something like that if I need on the ground, and I'll be like, yeah, that's the spot. Or there'll be like a nick in the board or some type of terrain feature that I can drive my eyes to and be like, yeah, that's the spot that I need to look at and land, and then I can start driving my eyes once I'm going towards that spot to the next target. So this will just be more of the same, but just testing some different stuff. Right, so this is gonna now force me to put my hands in a different spot, draw the gun, find a spot with my eyes visually, move towards that spot. After I find it, pick my spot visually on my first target that I'm going to engage. For this one, I'm going to go with the far target. Then I'll merge it back in the way I did before. All right, so it'll look like this. There we go. That's a 529, still all accountable, 1 Charlie. So, not, well, 1 Charlie in the head box. But that time lost there, right, from the other run was because I have to settle into position, pick a spot. We'll do that one more time. We'll see if I can decrease that. So that was a 172 currently. So from here to drawing the gun to getting into position, picking a small spot on the no shoot, and then starting the array, that took a 172. I'd like to get that realistically for what this is down to like a 1.5. That would be ideal for me and my skill level. So that's what we're going to try to do. I'm going to move a little bit more aggressive, and I'm not going to hang out too long. I'm going to be looking at it, and as soon as the buzzer goes, I'm going to draw, and I'm going to drive my eyes to that target, right? I believe that will save me some time. I think by staring at it, that's enough to get me to hit it. This is also not that critical of a spot if I'm a little bit off it, so I don't need to be as focused on it. And we'll see if that gives me the time back. And I'll try to keep the shooting relatively the same to see if that helps. All right, so that did save me some time. That was a 516. That gave me a first shot of a 166. Index was just not perfect to collect the A zone, so I had to make the correction to shoot it on the first target, and then everything else went good. But these are the things that I'm tying cause and effect, so I know on that iteration, yep, I moved faster, I got the gun on target faster, but I didn't get the gun on target where I wanted to faster, right? So the index coming out of this position was just slightly off, and that was because I wasn't picking a refined enough spot on that target to get the gun to land precisely. We talked about this in the other series, to get that gun to land precisely. That's going to save a lot of time. So I lost, you know, probably 0.2 there, right? Or maybe a little less, a tenth of 0.2 of just having that gun fall into brown, and I need it to fall into the brown of the A zone. All right, so we'll give you one more now, right? We're going to start on this side of the stick. Actually, guys, I'm going to switch this array up just slightly, and we'll come back and we'll talk about the next movement. All right, guys, so we're going to ignore the port again still. We have an array on the left side here of the fault line, and we have an array on the right side of the fault line here. The goal is to not shoot anything inside the fault lines here. So you have to be shooting this array on the outside of the stick, move aggressively across here, settle into position, and shoot this array on this side of the stick. All right, so a technique for entering into position here is from JJ Racaza. It's a 3-step entry, and that's going to happen over there. But to initiate movement from here, I'm going to draw the gun on the buzzer. I'm going to shoot my targets with the appropriate confirmation levels. On this open target here, I'm going to start shifting my weight, right? Getting momentum into here. I will cross step into here. This is where the three-step entry is. It's going to be 1, 2, 3. Landing nice and wide. That wasn't wide, it should have been wider. All right, so when I cross step, the cross step will get me into here. 1, 2, 3. All right, you could cross step into a 3-step entry, or however your feet want to work as it comes here. It could just be 1 and 2. However you do it, the goal is to just land nice and stable and squared to the targets, balanced, legs loaded. So if you had to move out of this position, you are ready to move into the next position, whatever that may be. All right, so this will look like this. So really the key that I want you focusing on, you can Some of this movement seems a little difficult for you right now. I really just want you trying to leave out of this position as soon as possible and getting into this position as stable and quickly as possible.